I don't know.
I don't know. Dude, I can't get them all in the shot. I'm going to have to do it sideways.
Yeah, it's how you're supposed to take pictures.
Sideways?
Yeah.
Okay. If you say so. I get
I
tired
do.
of turning my phone.
You don't have to turn it one time.
Yeah.
So today was my grandfather's birthday. And the plan was to just go over to his house, do cake and ice cream, gifts, just kind of hang out. It turned into an all day affair when he decided he wanted to go out to eat and do this and do that. Dude, I left my house at 10 o'clock this morning and did not get back until roughly an hour ago. And then I got to set up my aunt's new iPad because I bought one, and then she went out this morning and bought one.
Well, hopefully she'll enjoy it.
She will. She just doesn't know. She was like, "You're smart. You know how to set up those things." I'm going, I follow the prompts on the screen, yo.
Yeah.
But, you know. Oh, cool. I didn't realize you had like a little corner set up and everything.
Yeah, man. That's why I wanted you to come in and tell me what you thought of it.
Yeah. By the way, Carol Danvers is not Miss Marvel.
We just discussed that.
Okay. She's Captain Marvel. I understand she was Miss Marvel at one point in time, but ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. Okay. Well, brother, I'm ready when you are.
Okay.
Get this done.
You got the Hey Marvel fans. I got will Mace Windu or do I got the intro?
No, I got the intro.
Okay, so then I'll have Mace Windu and you'll have Wilson Fisk and the ending.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hit it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey there, Marvel fans. Want to know what's going on between Jean Grey and Jimmy Hudson?
Will Mace Windu heed the wisdom of his fellow Jedi?
And what's next for Wilson Fisk? All of this and more on 6 Months Behind. Let's do it again.
What'd you do? Forget? All this and more on this episode of the 6 Month Behind podcast.
I just flubbed it.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, that was supposed to be your
I asked if you were going to take it after I did the bottom line, and you said yes. Okay.
I said yes to the intro. Anyway.
I'm sorry. Okay, I misunderstood.
We'll start over. It's
okay,
one of those nights.
That's fine.
3, 2, 1. Hey, Marvel fans. Want to know what's going on between Jean Grey and Jimmy Hudson?
Will Mace Windu heed the wisdom of his fellow Jedi?
From the top.
What did we miss?
You said head, not heed.
Oh, God. It is one of those nights. Okay.
Three, 2, 1. Hey there, Marvel fans. Want to know what's going on between Jean Grey and Jimmy Hudson?
Will Mace Windu heed the wisdom of his fellow Jedi?
And what's next for Wilson Fisk?
All this and more on this week's episode of the 6 Month Behind podcast.
All right, counting into the regular intro. 3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for the week of 4/30/18. I am Pat.
And I am Sean.
And this week we are Robert Randolph and Post Malone because you were up here for a week and we went to the Beale Street Music Festival.
Yeah, and you're wearing your Bill Street Music Festival shirt, I see.
I'm wearing one of them. I forget what year this is, but it's not this year. But yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can read upside down. This is a 2016 shirt. 2016.
Okay, so 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the reason we're coming to you a little late this week. I was in Memphis for the Bill Street Music Festival, and if you're wondering why we didn't record the podcast up there, well, we really didn't have time.
No, we didn't have time to anything but, go to the festival, come in about 2:00 in the morning, sleep, get up, go to the festival again.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was a good time. It was a great time.
Dude, it was very good, man. Other than one act where the guy showed up on stage drunk and couldn't perform, I thoroughly enjoyed every act I saw. I discovered new music. Robert Randolph tore the house down. Dude, it was all good, man.
Dude, Robert Randolph might have been the most charismatic act I saw all weekend.
He kept, it was 1 a.m, literally 1 a.m. And the people who run the festival, obviously they've got to shut the festival down, clean the porta potties. Okay, maybe they didn't clean the porta potties, pick up the trash, get everything ready for the next day. And they're on the side motioning for Robert Randolph to end his set.
Mm-hmm.
And his band leaves and he keeps playing. And then he starts to walk. And this is after he already did an encore.
Right. This is after the encore.
This is after the encore. Okay. The encore started at like 12:45. His band walks away. He walks back over to the keyboard and starts playing again. There's all these people motioning to him and yelling at him from the side of the stage. He starts to walk off, turns around and walks back to the keyboard again and plays for another 2 or 3 minutes. And finally he's like, I want to play for a couple more hours, but we got to go. Sorry.
Yeah. As you and I, and he played for almost 2 hours.
He did. Yes.
You and I discussed, he's one of those guys who, if you let him, he'll play for 5 hours.
Dude, he knew he had a hot crowd. He was having a good time. The band was having a good time. We were having a good time. He just kept going, man.
Yeah, man. So if you like blues and particularly steel guitar, Robert Randolph's your dude. And then I saw Third Eye Blind Friday night. They were awesome. They killed it. They always do. That's like the 4th time I've seen Third Eye Blind. I'm a little biased because I love Third Eye Blind, but they murdered it. They were awesome.
You know the girl I told you I thought I saw at the festival? She's my Fastenal rep. Fastenal is a company that sells us all of our industry products.
Yeah.
Gloves and safety glasses, all that stuff. So she came by and saw me Tuesday, I think. And she's a Third Eye Blind fan, and she was disappointed in the concert because they didn't play more old songs.
They're in the studio recording an album right now. So they played 2 or 3 from their stuff that no one's heard yet. They played all their hit songs and they have many over the last 20 plus years that they've been.
I understand. I'm just telling you what she said, but she had a great time at the festival, man. She was just a little disappointed in Third Eye Blind.
Here's the thing about Third Eye Blind is they have so many good old songs. They could play 2 sets and not play them all.
Dude, it's like when I go see Eric Clapton in concert, which I've seen him a couple times. If, dude's nearly 70, if he comes back, I might see him again. His catalog is so big that there is no possible way he's going to play every song you want to hear.
Yeah.
It's just, he plays a set, plays like, he'll like run through 2 or 3 of his smashes in like 5 minutes. He'll play Wonderful Tonight and Cocaine and something else in like 5 minutes. Just say, okay, I played them. And then play other stuff. And dude, anything will still be over 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, it's just what it is. Who else we see? Ghost Town Blues Band was good.
Yep.
You enjoyed Incubus. You discovered Incubus.
I discovered Incubus. Listened to him for like, I don't know, an hour and a half on Spotify Monday.
Oh, did you? What'd you think of the recorded stuff?
It was as good as it was in concert, man. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Okay. Sometimes bands are a little, you hear them live and you're like, that's good. And then you hear the recorded stuff. You're like,
no, man, it was good.
Then Sunday night, I saw Post Malone, who we've discussed I'm not the hugest fan of, even though I was just listening to him. But I'm trying to figure out what the enigma is surrounding Post Malone, because dude is just on a meteoric rise. And, I saw him live just to see what all the hype was about. And you sent me a picture that somebody took of the crowd using like a drone or something. There were probably 30,000 people there just to see Post Malone.
Yes. Yeah.
Dude,
there was.
That crowd was humongous. And well, you know, we were walking into the festival Sunday afternoon, and everybody and their brothers hitting us up. Hey, you selling your ticket? Hey, you selling your ticket? Hey, you selling your ticket? We're like, why are all these people needing tickets?
Solid sellout, man. Ticket Fly sold out sometime around lunch. And dude, they had like 2,000 tickets at the gate, and those, I don't know what time those sold out, but they sold out, man.
It was noonish when everything sold out, and there were just so many people trying to get into that place, man. It was nuts. It was absolute lunacy, but we had a great time at the festival. It was a good time. So if you want to tell us what festivals you like going to in the summertime, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
You can look at the picture of the Post Malone crowd at www.6monthsbehind.com.
Did you actually put that on the website?
I'm going to, yes.
Okay. All right, then. You should see if you can put one of those Robert Randolph videos you took up on there too.
I don't know why I couldn't.
Yeah, I don't see why you couldn't. Yeah, man. We had a great time. It was a blast. We do it every year.
Yes, we do.
Another thing we do every year is Free Comic Book Day, which was this past Saturday.
I wanted to see Government Mule Saturday afternoon. It was like I had two acts for the whole weekend circle. One was Robert Randolph and the Family Band. The other was Government Mule. And we spent so long at the cellar in Memphis at Jason's store going through. Dude, he had his trades discounted 80%.
Well, it was I think it was it was like a increasing sale. Like for every trade, it was 10%. So you bought one, it was 10%, two, 20%, three, 30%.
No, they were 80% off, man. That Fantastic Four book I bought a Fantastic Four encyclopedia, regular price $30. I got it for $6, man.
Dude.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the hardcovers I'm thinking of. I don't know. He had one sale that was going on that was the more you bought, the more you saved.
I think that was some of those games. But
okay.
Dude, the comics were $1 a piece. He had, I don't know how many boxes of comics up there that were $1 a piece or 15 for $5.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. And it was a good Free Comic Book Day. Did you read any of your free comics that you got?
I haven't had time.
I read the Overwatch one. That's the only one I've gotten to just yet, and it was good.
I read about half the Spider-Man one, and I don't like what they're doing with Spider-Man, which we'll discuss sometime. So I was really disappointed in that book.
Well,
I mean, we can talk about it now, because it's already, he's right now in 6 months behind. He's living on Bobby Morrissey's sofa. In that Spider-Man comic, he's just completely destitute. I mean, he's looking at apartments with an old roommate of his they're dumps, man. I mean, they're just dumps. And I understand, he bankrupted Parker Industries. He gave everything away, trying to, make people happy. I get all that. Okay. But when you're a guy with his intellect, with his ability to invent things, because this was before Dr. Octopus, but became the Superior Spider-Man, he was working with that foundation, and they were making all kinds of inventions. Okay. So the dude is an accomplished scientist, an accomplished inventor. And, now he's, I don't know, man. At this point, he's, in what we're reading, he's homeless and completely broke. And that just doesn't happen in reality. Now, I realize what I just said. I do. But it's just not the way life works, man. I mean, people with that much talent get snatched up by somebody. Most of them declare bankruptcy and open the doors the next day in the same building under another company name.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's the fall of Peter Parker. That's how it's got to be.
Yeah, you just didn't have to. You could bring him down without bringing him down that far. That's my point.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into more of that here in just a minute, but just to let you guys know, we do discuss spoilers on this show. We are going to talk about all the spoilers that happen in all the comic books this week. So if you haven't read all the comics, pause here, go read them, come back. We'll still be here.
Yep. There you go. You want to go on and discuss Amazing 790, or you want me to hit Ben Riley first?
Let's go ahead and do Amazing 790 since we're kind of circling the topic.
Okay.
So the story has been the fall of Peter Parker. As you said, during the whole Secret Empire thing, Parker Industries came tumbling down. Alex Ross still killing it on the covers. How many covers? He's done every single cover of Amazing Spider-Man since it came back. What, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah,
dude.
And I think he was doing them before that, wasn't he?
He might have been. What do you think Marvel's paying him to do those covers?
Man, it can
because
he's
surely charging a higher rate than anyone else in the industry. He's Alex Ross.
I mean, he's doing alternate covers for him. He's doing the cover to the Avengers, and he's doing Spider-Man. So I don't know what they're paying him, but dude, it's a lot.
Do you think he's related to the other famous painter, Bob Ross?
I don't know.
I wonder if they're related somehow.
I don't know. You talk about that, I'll figure it out.
Okay. Anyway, so we open the issue of 790 with Peter Parker and Harry Osborn sitting in a boardroom apologizing to various people who worked for his company that he's now or were harmed by his company that he's now having to settle with because of the fallout of Parker Industries. And we see, multiple panels of him doing that with different people. He was, obviously that's really hard to do. They're walking out of the meeting. Harry's like, look, we got to go do this other thing. Which is the liquidation and sale of the Baxter Building, former headquarters of Parker Industries. Meanwhile, we got Clash. We have a page with Clash. He's up to something. He sees what's going on with Parker Industries and says, I worked for Parker Industries for years. I designed a lot of tech for them. I'm going to steal my technology back and all the stuff I invented. I'm not just going to get screwed here.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Harry Osborn is there while they're taking the sign off of the Baxter Building and getting the building ready to sell on the market, when Johnny Storm shows up, and he's really upset because Peter told him he was never going to sell the Baxter Building, that his decision to use it for Parker Industries was so he could keep it warm for the Fantastic Four when they arrived, and he's demanding to talk to Peter, and Harry's like, I'd like to talk to him too. He's supposed to be here, so we're both on the same page, brother. Spider-Man swings by. And of course, Harry Osborn doesn't know he's Spider-Man is Peter Parker, but Johnny Storm does. So Spider-Man's there in a sort of like messenger capacity to Harry, and Johnny's getting ready to out him because he's really mad about the place being sold. Spider-Man and Johnny come to blows. They start fighting. They bust up the lobby of the Baxter Building, creating the perfect distraction for Clash to steal his tech. Which Harry is the only one who's present enough to realize what's happening. That's when all three of them have to team up, or four of them, Harry, Johnny Storm, Spider-Man, and even Clash, to stop some sort of energy thing blowing up the whole building. So it gets damaged in the fight. Even Clash has to step in and help them. So they save the day. He and Johnny finally calm down and cool off and try to talk it out. And then Peter gets a phone call from Joe Robertson at the Daily Bugle saying, hey, this is your new life calling. Do you want to work for the Daily Bugle? And I'm not talking about taking pictures like you used to.
Right.
It was a good issue.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, man. It wasn't, it was okay. Yeah.
I'll admit I have read ahead in this series, and I like where it's going. There's a certain magic to Peter Parker being down on his luck that just makes Spider-Man work. And it's why they did the whole one more day, brand new day thing.
Yeah,
And
see, I don't.
You don't agree?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because if you let Peter Parker be successful and prosperous for too long, Spider-Man gets boring.
Yeah, I disagree.
I don't know, man. I mean, after Brand New Day, they did some of the best Spider-Man writing they've done.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't have to. Well, that's because they had Dan Slott writing it. You don't have to make him broke and destitute to, you know. Anyway, we've already discussed that. So, anywho,
I agree that he doesn't have to be, you know, utterly homeless, and it's starting to get to this point where it's a little silly because, as Peter Parker is now, he's, you know, in his late 20s and early 30s.
Yeah,
and so being the broke, homeless, living on ramen noodles guy is getting a bit ridiculous, as they have discussed in the comic books.
Right. Yep. Next we have Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider. This is I think Peter David's getting his groove back with this. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. Alex Ross is the son of Clark and Lynette Ross from Lubbock, Texas.
Okay,
so no, there's no relation to Bob Ross.
No relation to the joy of painting Bob Ross.
No.
Okay.
No. Not at all. Sorry. I think Peter David's getting his stuff together, man. And, you know, Mark Bagley is drawing this. So, of course, the art's good. No, I'm sorry. Mark Bagley isn't this. Will Slaney. I thought Mark Bagley.
It does look like
Mark Bagley art. He was doing it, and he did one of the covers, but he didn't do it. But it looks like Bagley. So, anyway, we have this mystery woman showing up at the airport. I don't know what that's about. Then we have Ricochet and Spider-Man and one of the thugs conversing, and they're going after the food and the Hornet. And the thing about the Hornet, and I didn't know this till I was reading the note here, is originally the Hornet was an alter ego of the Amazing Spider-Man. I don't know when or where, but apparently he was. So
okay,
that's what I said. Okay, whatever. We've got an appearance by the old lady who shows up every issue. We've got the girl, you know, going and meeting with the evil casino owner, and then they try and break into the casino. Of course, they run into the Hornet, and then something bad happens. I don't even know. It's some kind of monster coming out of some kind of extra dimension. I don't know, man. I don't know what it's about. But it's not bad. I mean, it's a good read. I'm soft selling it here. It's not bad at all. It's just, you know, I don't know what's going on there.
Okay, you said Peter David's getting his groove back, but you don't know what's going on in the book.
I don't know what that monster is at the end.
We'll probably find out next issue. It's one of those final page reveals type.
Yeah, and it's one of those, you know, it's like the Hornet's got stuff coming from another dimension, and I'm not really sure, you know, what's going on there. So, yeah, that's the point of that.
Okay, well, I'm glad you read that book because I gave up on it a while ago.
No, it's good, man. It's you know, it's good.
Okay.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out if I read this all-new Wolverine book, which is next with our X-Men books. And apparently I didn't. Thought I did. Sat down and went over everything last night, and I thought I read it. But I didn't. Apparently they were still torturing Dakin with an arm off, and
yeah, he escapes. They're dealing with the whole thing.
They're hanging out with Laura's aunt and uncle, and I still don't. Yeah, I guess I got to go back and read X. That was my assignment last week, wasn't it? And I didn't. So there you go. Yeah, and then Dakin shows up at the end with one arm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I my sincerest apologies to you and all of our 6 month behind I-Nights out there. I forgot to read it. I-Nights? I don't know. Marvelites, 6 months behind nights. Okay, come on, work with me.
Okay. Is that what we're calling our listeners?
I don't know. We got, you know, I had to come up with something off the top of my head because I screwed up.
if you can come up with a better name for what to call it, what you want us to call you, email us. Anyway,
6 months Sixers. How about that?
Sure. Anyway, Jean Grey number 8. As we saw in the last issue, she has projected her consciousness into the mind of Emma Frost to discover some secret regarding the Phoenix. Jean Grey spends most of the issue fighting off memories of the X-Men. She's supposed to go to this particular memory so that she can find this secret. And it is it's during the whole new X-Men Grant Morrison run. She you know, in the memories of the X-Men that Jean Grey is encountering suddenly recognize her for being a fraud and try to take her out. But she makes it to where she's trying to go, which is the infamous scene where Emma Frost and Scott Summers hook up. And we find out that Emma Frost's big secret is that she's hiding a portion of the Phoenix power in her memory of Scott Summers. Jean Grey releases that fragment of the Phoenix power, and it possesses her, and the Phoenix is here.
There you go, man.
Dude.
Yeah.
That was something.
That's where the series starts getting good. It's like, I was going to say episode. I'm sitting over here studying episodes of the original Star Trek series for a point I'll come to in a few minutes. This whole thing's getting good. It's leading to the Phoenix Resurrection, and I'm really excited about it. Over in Weapon X, we still have Weapon H, and I don't know. He's got Dr. Alba, and she's trying to brainwash him. About the funniest thing about this is they've got the head and I guess spine of William Stryker in this glass tube, and they're toting it around with him because 1, Wolverine won't let him kill him, and 2, he thinks they might need him for something. So she's trying to catch, to brainwash the Hulk. It's not working. At one point, Logan's just walking around with the head of William Stryker, which is pretty funny. It's out of team, and he's just walking around with it, and he's still complaining the whole time. They finally find what they're looking for in some old storage shed where at this point Stryker's head is on the floor talking to him, and yeah, there you go. Then they got to fight Weapon H again because she's finally figured out how to make Weapon H kill people.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. X-Men Blue number 14. It's part 4 of Mojo World. I really like the cover here. You've got a Mojo tossing a handful of the X-Men into his open mouth. And it's really cool looking. Arthur Adams did that cover with Peter Steigerwald. So it's the continuation of this Mojo story. By the way, look on page 4.
You got to bear with me. I was back looking at Star Trek episodes. Sorry.
And the art in this book is okay. It's not bad, but I just want to draw your attention to something, and it happens in other panels. But, as you see, Mojo is not a svelte individual.
Yes.
But and he's meant to be kind of gross and off-putting. But why does he have to have...
I see it.
Incredibly long nipples?
I don't know.
Dude, like, what is up with Mojo's weird nipples?
I don't know.
I read these comics panel by panel, and when you read this panel, like, that's the first thing that draws your attention is this thing that's like 4-inch long nipple. It's like, dude, oh my god. Anyway, the X-Men are starting to gain the upper hand a bit. They're still fighting these scenarios, but Mojo's delivering more antennas. Magneto, Polaris, and Danger show up to help out. But they get caught up with the the Marauders? finally, Longshot and Kurt, Nightcrawler, figure out how to teleport the X-Men out of those scenarios. The problem becomes that when they teleport them out, it's where they teleport them to, and they're walking through these hallways where they find the other X-Men that they thought were dead but aren't dead. They've actually just been transferred to these holding chambers, which means Bloodstorm is alive, so Vampire Storm is a thing again.
Yes.
And it turns out they're actually on Mojo World now. They've been transferred from Earth to Mojo World, which suits Mojo just fine because his intention with these antennas is to turn Earth into another version of Mojo World.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Mojo.
I don't think anybody is.
But this is a very good story.
It's as Mojo stories go, yeah. They're using Mojo as a plot device here to do other things.
Yeah. Yeah, which is fine. However you get there, however you give me good writing, I'm in for it.
Yeah. And if you're going to use Mojo and write a decent story with him, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah.
Next, we have our Avengers book with U.S. Avengers number 11. And this was an interesting book because it's basically set in, you could compare it to Riverdale. And the cars are there, everything's the same, just like an Archie comic book. And we find that this is where Sam Guthrie went after everyone thought he died. And a few pages in, we meet Mr. Redwood, who apparently runs this world and created this giant illusion so it would look like Earth circa 1950 something. And, we cut to the U.S. Avengers who are coming to rescue him, except they're caught up. Their spaceship is attacked by other spaceships that appear to be 1920, 30 era gangster cars. And everyone there talks like 1920 and 30 era gangsters. And you turn out things aren't going quite as well there in our figurative Riverdale with Mr. Redwood because people are having trouble staying in character. Sam tries to escape. Finally, the U.S. Avengers come to an agreement after fighting the gangsters. They all understand that they all want to fight Mr. Redwood together. And then we get to the last page and, with a monster who looks just like Jughead. My problem with this isn't the Archie thing. It's that in season 2, episode 17 of the original series of Star Trek, it's called A Piece of the Action, where the crew of the Enterprise goes to a planet that is trapped in 1920s, 1930s gangster world.
Yeah,
and
I'm familiar with the episode.
Yeah, you're familiar with it.
Yeah.
That's essentially what this story is.
It was probably inspired by it.
Okay, we can use that word. Yes.
I would be willing to bet money it was inspired by this episode.
Inspired, or we could say ripped off, but we will use inspired.
It's an homage.
Okay, yes, it's a tribute to. Sure, fine. Okay. If you say so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say they ripped it off. But go ahead.
Oh, were you done? I'm sorry.
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. I was reviewing both America and Black Panther real quick. America, it was a really good issue, America number 8, but I'm going to short sell it just for the brevity of time. She returns to Sotomayor University to begin the new semester when they announce that there's going to be a new president of the university. Mindless ones attack the campus. The new president calls an emergency meeting of all the students and puts all kinds of lockdowns and restrictions on the university, which is really convenient. America suspects that something's up with the new president of the university here, and she's right, because while it's not revealed at the end of the issue, if you looked at the cover, you realize Dominatrix is on the cover, and obviously the new president is dominatrix and she's got some sort of plot going on.
That's her character name?
I think so. Dude, I think it's, I forget, but she's a dominatrix, man. She dresses in all leather and is into torture.
That's Midas's daughter.
Yeah, the daughter of Midas.
Okay. All right, next book.
Yeah. Black Panther number 166. This is part 1 of Claw Stands Supreme. So we've been dealing with this whole like the gods of Wakanda are disappearing or whatever. And Black Panther has been trying to figure out who's behind it and what the motivations are. Well, at the end of the last issue, we found out it's Ulysses Claw, and he's put together a group of other Black Panther villains to help him in this endeavor. Written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, pencils by Leonard Kirk, and color by Laura Martin. This issue is a retelling and a retooling of Claw as a character and a little bit of his origin. In it, we learn exactly what his motivations as a villain are. Turns out he's got a wife that's got some sort of disease and he's converted her into living sound so as to keep her in stasis until he finds a cure. It's the old Mr. Freeze story.
Sure.
But we find out what lengths he's willing to go to do this. And we find out in this issue that at one point he was human, but he has turned himself into a literal living being made of sound and sonic vibrations. He's a sonic being. And he talks in the issue because he narrates the whole thing. Claw narrates the whole issue in that, he's no longer human. And that since he's no longer human, he no longer has a heart and is willing to do certain things that he may not have been willing to do previously. Anyway, we find out what his motivations are in Wakanda and how this helps him. Eliminating the Wakandan gods helps him achieve his goal to cure his wife. So it was a good issue. Actually, it was a really good issue.
I need to get caught up on that. Next, we have Daredevil number 28. I was glancing through Ms. Marvel and got sidetracked. Daredevil Matthew Murdock is in Japan, where he was lured by Blind Spot. Japan, China. Okay, same thing. Far East.
Dude, they're not the same thing.
I'm off my game because I keep going from book to book, and yeah, there you go.
But
he's in the Far East.
I'm being pedantic. I'm giving you a hard time.
Okay. Anyway, so he's captured by that monster. He's being tortured, and Blind Spot and his mom are about to escape when he remembers the infamous lesson that Daredevil taught him, which is, you give up your life for the greater good. So he decides to go rescue Daredevil. His mom begs him not to. He goes and does it anyway. His mom comes and helps. The deal basically was Blind Spot had to give up a soul for Matt Murdock to get his eyes back. Mm-hmm. So his mom stays there.
No,
for Blind Spot to get his eyes back. Is that what I said?
Yeah, his mother, Blind Spot's mother, sold her soul to the Demon of the Hand to restore his eyesight. Now Blind Spot is willing to sell the demon Matt Murdock's soul in order to get her soul back.
Right. So the bottom line is the monster needs a soul. There at the end, the monster takes her mother, and Blind Spot and Matt Murdock get out because it only wants one soul. It doesn't seem to be caring which one, and it takes hers. So later is Umichai City, China. Thank you very much. Okay. What'd I say? Japan or China?
You said Japan, but it's in China.
I don't forget which one of us had which side of the argument.
It's China.
Okay. They're in China.
Yes.
Zuminaji City. There you go. I'm saying that real fast so you don't notice that I have no idea how to pronounce that.
We have probably pronounced it wrong. It's okay. We're Americans. We can do that.
So they're sitting there, just chilling for a few minutes. Blind Spot and Murdock, catches the plane back to New York. When he arrives in New York,
well, the issue is they're trying to get back in the country because he doesn't have a passport or a visa for Blind Spot or any of it.
right? And they finally get back there, and Blind Spot doesn't want to go because the Chinese, his point is the Chinese people are oppressed in America, and why does he? He would rather stay and fight oppression in China than he would go and fight oppression in the United States. That's his point. Anyway, Matt Murdock arrives back in New York to discover that Wilson Fisk has been elected mayor.
Mayor of New York. Wilson Fisk is
mayor of New York.
Which we saw some of this happening in that Wilson Fisk book that came out not long ago. And we've been seeing little tidbits of it here and there, especially during Secret Empire. That was his whole goal during Secret Empire. He's had machinations of winning the mayor's office for some time now.
Right.
Since his return to New York City.
Right.
Yeah, it was a really good book. Charles Soule is just killing it on Daredevil. I mean, just knocking it out of the park every single issue.
Yeah, it's really good, man. It's very good.
I feel like I say this every time we talk about Daredevil, but this will be one of those runs on Daredevil that we go, in 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, hey, you want to know what's really good about Daredevil? Go read this.
And I'll tell you what else we will be talking about that in the same manner of is Jerry Dugan's run on Deadpool. Because this is so good and serious and funny at the same time. Deadpool, of course, ripped Cable's arm off, his mechanical arm off last time. As Cable was imprisoned by the Time Police who looked like Judge Dredd. So Deadpool has the brilliant idea to attach Cable's arm and use his abilities to time jump around and find Cable. And the whole time, Cable's laying there in the jail cell talking to his guard saying, look, man, this is going to end bad. This is going to end with Deadpool showing up and you need to let me out. And at first, the guard's like, dude, just shut up. Well, finally, Deadpool does what Cable said he would do, which is jumps around times until he finds Cable. Finally, the guard's like, okay, here you go. I'm letting you out. Take a gun. Help me. and let's Cable out so he can start helping to fight Deadpool. So finally, Deadpool catches up with Cable, and Cable's like, dude, you know I can control that arm telekinetically, right? It doesn't have to be attached to me. And Deadpool's like, no, you can't. Yeah, you can. No, you can't. Yeah, you can. No, you can't. Cable, as the arm is still attached to Deadpool, starts beating Deadpool up with his own arm as it's attached to him.
And there's some sort of joke about punching himself, right?
Yes. Of course there is. Then Cable rips the arm off of it and begins beating Deadpool with it. Just, dude, it is serious and funny at the same time.
That is when Deadpool is the best. When it is funny, but also serious, and the humor hits in a certain kind of dark way.
Yeah, let me see where I'm at here. I want to discuss something, so I'm stalling for time for just a moment. Next week, there's a couple of books that come out. And one is Fear Itself, one is Siege, Storming Asgard, and one is X-Men Future History, The Messiah War. Marvel in the 70s published a series of the Marvel's Guide to the Marvel Universe. And each page would have a character, and it would explain everything about that character's abilities, that character's strengths, weaknesses. When it got to like the Baxter Building, it showed you a complete blueprint of the Baxter Building. Same thing for Avengers Mansion, all these things. Okay. And they did a couple of sequels over the years. Matter of fact, there was one on sale at the comic seller for like 80 off, whatever it would be. Golly, what did they used to call those black and white things that Marvel put out?
I don't know, man.
Essentials. It was Essentials.
Oh yeah, the Essentials. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so he had a couple of them there. I'm gonna go back and make him an offer on them because he had a bunch. At some point when I'm not tying up all my cash at the Beale Street Music Festival, buying T-shirts and this, not and the other, I'm going to go there and make him an offer because they were really cool. Now, these 3 books that I'm talking about, Storming Asgard, X-Men Future History, are that sort of thing. And the one that X-Men Future History is narrated by Cable. And it's basically Cable's files on all the heroes and the X-Men and everybody involved. And it's totally cool. It really is. And if you want to know more about Cable and Deadpool and all the characters that are involved in Cable's world, that book's really good. We'll talk about it next week because there are other books to talk about this week, but those things are really cool. And in it, Cable talks about Daredevil. I was reading this, Deadpool. And he's like, I've teamed up with him. I've tried to kill him. He's tried to kill me. We've beaten each other up. We have killed each other. And yet we still respect each other. And at this point, I don't know if he's a friend or an enemy because he's Deadpool. Yeah, it's really good.
Cool.
Yep.
Another issue that was really good was Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur number 25. Although I guess it's just Moon Girl now because as we saw at the end of last issue, she left Devil Dinosaur back in his own time. So she is Moon Girl sans Devil Dinosaur. And you get 3 separate stories in this issue. So since she is without a partner now, which she's actually kind of sad about, she decides that she's going to try out some new partners. But first, because she's been off planet for so long, she's going to check the mail. She pulls out a letter that looks kind of weird and it's got a whole bunch of stamps on it. And when she opens it, she gets sucked into the letter, where she meets the X-Babies, which is the X-Men, but in like child form. And they're in
Mojo. God, no. Please, no.
Yeah. And they're in Mojo World, not the one that we're seeing in X-Men Blue, but some other Mojo World. And it's a really cartoonized version of all this. And Mojo wants to make her a star and all this stuff, and she decides she didn't want any part of that. She gets out of there, and she decides she's not going to team up with the X-Men. The second story is she teams up with the Ghost Rider and fights crime with him. She decides that's too intense, so she decides not to do that. And in the third one, finally, she teams up with Daredevil and fights off some ninjas. Which, you know, she has a positive experience with Daredevil, but she also doesn't want him as a partner. What we see at the end is who she does finally choose to be her partners. And what she says is she chose her friends. They say you can't choose your friends, but you can't choose your family, and we'll see about that. And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but let's just say in the next issue, you'll see who she teams up with, and it'll be pretty fantastic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, we have Silver Surfer number 14. Dan Slott has been writing this book. Let's see. It was like 15 issues. Then you had...
It was like 19 more.
Yeah, it was what was in between? Secret War. Yes, Secret War. Secret War. Yes, Secret War, where Doom destroyed everything and then they started over. So they kind of, relaunched the series. He's been doing it for 3 or 4 years, probably 30 to 35 issues.
Yeah.
And this book is the final book in that series. And at the end, there's a nice letter from Dan Slott, who apologizes for this issue and several others shipping late because it's been 2 or 3 months since issue 13.
I was going to say, it seems like this book showed up late. In fact, I was starting to think we had seen the last issue, and then all of a sudden this showed up.
This is the last issue.
Yeah.
So let me recap last issue, and I'm going to do most of this from memory. So you feel free to correct me if I get it wrong. Did you read the last issue?
No, because I didn't have time today because of issues that we discussed.
Not this issue, but issue 13. This is issue 14. Did you read issue 13?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so they're fighting some creature. Somehow they go back in time, or to another dimension, to escape where they're at, to where Galactus, known as Ta, is that his real name?
No,
is
Ta is the ship.
right. Anyway, Galactus in his human form is preparing to go through the end of the universe and the rebirth from the next universe.
Right.
And that
Which is how
issue,
he becomes Galactus.
right. Dawn grows old, dies in that issue. In
Right.
this issue, Silver Surfer takes her essence and latches on to Galactus' ship and travels with him to the birth of this universe. Now, this is kind of when it gets hokey because the universe is being born. Galactus is there. He's kind of in this embryo thing. And the Silver Surfer phases himself slightly out of this dimension so nobody will know he was there and just kind of hangs out for hundreds of millions of years waiting to reach the point in time where he left off last issue. Now, if that sounds kind of strange, well, that is kind of strange because you got dude living for billions of years. Then what's even stranger
makes sense to me, man.
Is he goes and visits Dawn when she's a baby. And like he becomes like this yearly visitor who hangs out every 2 weeks. You know, they're at the family house when she's a baby. And I'm like, dude, she's like 6 and you got a crush on her.
Dude, this is so Doctor Who. It's not even funny.
I understand. Finally, he reaches the point where, you know, she and Dawn meet and Dawn dies. And he takes her essence, which if you notice in the first page is when he releases it into the universe, it's the black and red that she always wore. And it's so that on every world, in every existence, endless forms of life will always call the sunrise dawn.
Dawn.
Yes. It was kind of, you know, I mean, it was all right.
But it's a good way to go out, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if this book wasn't selling or because Dan Slott was shipping it late or, you know, what the malfunction was, but somewhere there was a malfunction. And yeah.
I imagine between sales numbers probably not being super strong on it, plus Dan Slott doing Spider-Man, and obviously it's shipping late and he's getting ready to move to Iron Man. Yeah, dude, you know. Marvel's canceling everything. So,
yeah,
it was a good run. I mean, you know, it's been one of the best Silver Surfer runs in a long time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not a bad run. It was just the end was a little, you know,
it was a little for you.
Yeah, and it was a little different, you know. So
yeah.
Anywho,
well, I mean, it's also a good period at the end of the sentence, and then you can. It doesn't put Silver Surfer in a particular spot where you have to get him out of it before you can do anything else with the character. You can just pick him up and play with him the next time you want to.
Right. Yeah. Next, we have Thanos number 12, which Jeff Lemire is writing, and again, is doing an awesome job of. I can tell you.
I've got to get caught up on this.
Yeah, this thing is drawing rave reviews from everyone.
It's Jeff Lemire, dude.
You know, it's and in this issue, they're back into God Quarry. When I say they, a re-empowered Thanos, excuse me, his son Thane, who has the Phoenix Force, and I'll make it short. Thanos just dumps him, just dumps him and crushes his head and throws him into God Quarry. You know, it's just yeah, dude. He stomps him so easily. It's not even funny. And at that point, Lady Death shows up and, you know, says, hey, you need to fulfill the quest that you've always wanted to do, and then you will be worthy of my love again. Which, you know, at that point, he throws her into God Quarry because he's over death, goes home, sits on his throne, and gets ready to find the Infinity Gems.
Oh.
Yeah. By the way,
that's where this is going.
Oh, dude, did you have any doubt?
No, I was being facetious.
You know, I'm playing a lot of Marvel Strike Force.
Yeah,
that game is totally cool on a lot of levels. But when Thanos appears in the game, he floats in on this throne and climbs off of it and joins the battle.
That's cool.
It's totally cool, man. Because, you know, he's got that floating chair in all the Infinity Gauntlet series and these other books. So he just floats in on that chair, man, and then climbs off of it and joins the battle. There's some great stuff in that book, man.
That's cool.
there's a scene, or in that game, I should say, there's a scene where, the plot of the game is Ultimate Scoundrel is in an alternate universe with all the heroes and villains brainwashed, and the heroes of 616 are trying to prevent them from invading the 616 universe. And there's the scene where Crossbones is there and they're fighting Winter Soldier, and Crossbones is like, dude, why is he always the first one to get brainwashed? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anywho, on to the mighty Captain Marvel, number 125, our legacy numbering.
Yeah. So first thing I want to say is Phil Noto did the cover of this issue, and it's awesome, dude. This is a really nice looking cover.
Yeah, it is.
So, in the wake of Secret Wars and the Chitauri invasion, Secret Empire, and the Chitauri invasion, which left the Alpha Flight space station, as they call it in this issue, Space Granola. It's utterly destroyed. The Alpha Flight is grounded. So T'Challa, who's in charge of the program, says, you guys take some R&R. I'll let you know when we're back up and running. So Puck and Sasquatch are going to go catch a baseball game. Agent Brand's going to go to the spa, which, Agent Brand to the spa, that's funny. Carol's crashing on Jessica Drew's, not couch, but basically a mattress in the baby's room.
She's got her cat back, by the way.
Yeah, she got the cat back. She sure did. Meanwhile, something weird's going on at Project Pegasus. Some shapeshifters stealing something from Project Pegasus. Anyway, while Carol's asleep one night, Bean, who is the weird Kree girl that we dealt with in a few issues back that nobody cares about, shows up looking very much like America Chavez and warns Carol of some impending doom. She goes and calls all the Alpha Flight folks back together. They decide to get the old, in lieu of not having any ships, they get the old space shuttle ready to fly and use it. They use it to stop the shapeshifter who's stealing, I don't know what they stole, a piece of the cosmic cube. I don't know. Anyway, at the end, there's a singularity and a portal opens and Captain Marvel goes through it with the shapeshifter, and we'll see what happens there.
I'm glad we didn't do an Earthbound like 10 issues like we did with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Me too. I wouldn't have minded one where it's just like kind of a funny issue where they're just, what are they doing? And it's like, Sasquatch and Puck are getting kicked out of the baseball game for eating too many hot dogs. And, so that a single issue would have been fine. But I'm also glad that they're getting Captain Marvel and her team back into space.
Yes.
Then we have the Punisher number 17 with a killer cover by Declan Shalvey. I never pronounce his name right. Never, ever. Declan Shalvey. This book is changing creative hands soon and becomes something else, which is going to be equally cool. But I'm going to miss this version of the Punisher, which is every issue is just the Punisher kicking butt. So as we saw in the last issue, Face is up to his old tricks. He's taken some hostages on Broadway. The Punisher's the only one that can save him, or not save him, but take him out. Face is killing hostages left, right, and center. So he teams up with a couple of the actors to help him sneak up on Face and stop him from killing people. Face, by the way, after that injection of all those drugs, has morphed into this really crazy looking monster. He's like covered in hair and he's got like a claw for an arm, and it's weird, dude.
It is weird.
Yeah, it's super weird. Anyway, this goes exactly like you expect. There's a big old fight at the end. Face gets stuck in some gears and turned into mulch. And yeah. Frank Castle saves Broadway and gets to go to a Broadway premiere in a tux.
This is a cool cover. Up in the corner, it says parental advisory, not for kids.
It says that on every cover.
I know, but it's pretty funny the way they have it this time.
Yeah.
I just thought it was.
Not for kids. Yeah. And it is not for kids. It's a great
issue.
It
is not. It is not. That ends our 616 universe. If you will tell us about Mace Windu number 3, who is apparently not heeding the advice of the Jedi Council.
No, it's not the Jedi Council. The Jedi Council is the problem. We'll see. You'll see in a minute.
Okay, fine.
So they're on this planet where the Separatists are harvesting all these plants for fuel, which endangers the native species of the planet who the Jedi are trying to save. There's a cool little bit at the beginning of the book where it's General Grievous hiring this assassin droid to kill the Jedi, and he's a real sassy droid who gives Grievous no respect at all. And they're fighting this whole battle with the Jedi and against the Separatists and so forth. But the real meat of it is, hang on. One of the Jedi comes to Mace Windu and says, you know, the Council and the Jedi have lied to us from the outset. The Council had no idea, this energy source existed. You know, of course they knew it existed. The Jedi have become a tool for the Republic to fight wars, and that was never supposed to be what the Jedi are about. It doesn't align with the Jedi doctrine. The Council has twisted its view in order to serve the Republic. This is all about a power grab. The Separatists are really no different than the Republic. And how dare you, Mace Windu? How can you do this? You know, the Jedi Council has deceived everyone. And Mace Windu says, well, if that's how you feel, then, you know, let's resolve this, your might against mine, and we'll see who's right. So in the next issue, it's 2 Jedi duking it out.
Ah, okay.
But if you go read the actual text of what the guy says to him, what the fellow Jedi says to him, it's the same conclusion that Yoda has come to at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
He's right. And this whole issue plays out like an episode of Clone Wars. So if you enjoyed that series, you'll enjoy this. But having the hindsight that we have, knowing the way this goes, it gives weight and power to what this Jedi is saying to Mace Windu, because he's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm into this. What was your favorite book this week?
You're into what now?
That Star Wars Mace Windu, the whole thing they're doing with the Force Awakens and the Last Jedi and Yoda and all of it.
You mean Star Wars?
What did I say?
No, I mean you're just into Star Wars.
No, that particular storyline. I'm doing like 3 things at a time here. I'm thinking about my favorite book, trying to research the Evolutionary War, and think about Star Wars at the same time.
Okay. I didn't understand your broader point, but okay.
I'm sorry. No. I'm into this shift that they're doing with the Star Wars universe, basically making the Force gray, if you will. It's not black and white. And Mace Windu fighting the Jedi Council or disagreeing with the Jedi kind of bleeds that. Anyway.
Mace Windu doesn't disagree with the Council.
Okay. Anyway, on to the book. The guy that was talking to Mace Windu. I know what you're saying.
Okay. All right.
You don't know what I'm saying, but I know what you're saying. Go ahead. Your favorite book.
Probably. I'm going to have to go with Daredevil number 28.
It was close. I'd go Jean Grey number 8.
That was a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. I really enjoyed Jean Grey number 8. So, yeah.
That's cool.
In the dump this week, we have two things. We've got the Evolutionary War, which I was looking and I was looking and talking and listening all at the same time. There were like 2 books out for the Evolutionary War. The Evolutionary War is from 1988 and went through 11 different annuals that Marvel put out this year. We now have 9 of them. So you've got 9 of the 11 issues. Hopefully at some point we'll get the other 2. It basically involved every character fighting the High Evolutionary through 11 annuals. It was really, it drew great reviews at the time. I've always wanted to read it. Now we're very close to actually having it because they dumped 6 or 7, 8 of the annuals this week, something like that. So yeah, we're close to having it. Also, this week,
over the course of 8 years, they wrote a single story about the High
No.
Evolutionary?
No.
They're annuals.
All the annuals that came out that summer told the story. So you got Avengers West Coast, Thor, Avengers annual, New Mutants annual, X Factor annual, X-Men annual, Amazing Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. It went from annual to annual to annual, which came out every week.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yes. Okay. The other thing we have, and I gotta get back to where I was, so bear with me.
It was some Wolverine one shot.
Yeah, I wanted to get the title of them. It's Wolverine, Nick Fury, Scorpio Rising, Wolverine, Night of Terror. This really started with the death of Captain Marvel in 81, 82 was the first graphic novel that Marvel did. God Loves, Man Kills is another classic graphic novel that they did. And in the 90s, what they kind of shifted to were these one-shots that weren't really graphic novels, but they weren't really a comic book either. If you open up that Spider-Man Nick Fury book, that sucker's 49 pages. Okay. And these books, and they've put a lot of them out recently, and they're like hard to find. But because once they just kind of get lost in the thing that is Marvel Unlimited, if you don't know, if you're not looking at Wolverine, I pulled up somebody that, it's Deadpool. And it was just, there had to be 50 Deadpool books. Well, because now you're getting all these one shots, but these are great books and they're great reads. They're like 40, 50 pages a piece, depending on which one it is. And I'm really glad to see Marvel putting these out because for a long time it didn't. You got the Fantastic Four, you got the Avengers. You didn't get Marvel Team Up. You're now getting the Defenders, and you're getting these one shots from the 90s and early 2000s, which I'm really enjoy reading, and I'm glad that they're showing up.
Okay, cool. I didn't even know these were a thing, really.
Yeah, man.
Cool, dude. Well, all right. That pretty much wraps us up for the week. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6 months behind @gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com.
And give us a follow on Twitter at 6monthsbehind. Before we go, as has become our tradition, Pat, do you have a little wisdom to impart to us all?
A smart person thinks that he's like the rest of the people. A stupid people thinks that everyone else is like him.
A stupid people?
A stupid person. Sorry. I butchered it.
So which one is, I'm reading that quote and I go, which one am I?
That's the question.
That is the question.
That is the question. Are you smart or are you stupid? And do you think everyone's like you?
Or do I think I'm like everyone else?
Yes.
Or is it a little bit of both?
Yes.
All right.
Am I smart or stupid? I don't know. With my performance tonight, we could lean towards stupid.
I think it depends on time of day and how much coffee I've had.
Peace.
See you guys.